Dear countrymen and countrywomen, since my last address to you on the 30th of July, 2021, the COVID-19 transmission rates in the country have continued to decline. Despite this, some districts continue to show higher transmission rates and are considered hotspot districts. This persistent transmission is in the following 9 districts, namely Kampala, Kalungu, Kabale, Kumi, Soroti, Tororo, Gulu, Nwoya, and Yumbe. The daily average number of confirmed cases over the last 1 month has declined and stabilized at 124 cases countrywide from an average of 1,445 cases at the peak of the second wave in June 2021. Similarly, the daily average number of deaths has declined to 6 from 57 deaths at the height of the peak of the second wave. So the reason we had to have lockdown was that less people should die, or nobody should die at all. That was the reason. And as you can see, the figures are here. The infections are now in a month. (124 cases countrywide. Previously, when we had that big surge, there were 1,445 cases. This monthly or daily? Daily, the average daily. 124 every day. Now, case confirmed instead of 1,445. And the deaths are 6 per day instead of 57 per day. As of 22nd September 2021, the country had registered a total of 122,502 confirmed cases and 3,135 deaths. Additionally, the current admissions stand at 340 in both public and private facilities. People who are in hospitals are now 340. And we remember when we had these very high cases, there was no space in the hospitals because all the beds were full. But now you hear that because of the tough measures we took, now only 340 people are in hospital at one time. That means we have got spare capacity of beds because now we have got more than 4,000 beds. So when we were, and by that, the other time when we had people were crying, they had no space in government hospitals, they had to go to private hospitals which were overcharging them. It was because the number was higher than the 4,000 beds. But here you are now with 340 people in hospital, in both public and private facilities. I don't know what they are looking for in private facilities, because the government has got capacity to cater for them. According to these figures, 272 are in public hospitals. Oh, 66, okay, I can understand now. 272 are in public hospitals, 66 are in the prisons. So the only people in private hospitals are 2. That's good. That means that people are not squandering money over health. Now, of these 340, 144, which is 38%, are in severe and critical category. Now, I would like the staff to show you the curve, how the whole thing has come from the beginning to today. Show us that curve, please. There you are. On my left, this side, that's where the whole problem started. March last year. And you see it remained flat until November and December. That's when it came up. Because you remember, November, December, we had rebels, people who were opposing us. We were telling people, please, don't congregate. You remember that was during the elections. And some other prophets were saying, no, congregate. There's no problem. Museveni is a dictator. He's stopping you from democratically infecting one another. So, people listened to the false prophets. Banabi, Abobulimba. And that November, buli muntu yena chichasiga chichakungula. Whatever you sow, that's what you reap. So there you have the figures. Then we shouted after the elections. But it was coming down because you remember we even cancelled campaigns in Kampala and Wakiso. Yes. I was advised that if you have campaigns in Kampala, although I was using indirect campaigns, consulting only leaders, but I was advised by these experts, please don't, even that indirect, that meeting of leaders, don't do it. Just speak on the radio. So, because of those measures, and arresting some of the troublemakers, because you remember we had to stop them from what they were doing. From after the end of December, started coming down, and for February, March, April, it was almost zero. Almost zero. And you can imagine that Put the graph again, please. You can imagine that from March 20th to 21st May this year, a year and 2 months, the people who died were only 340 or something like that. In 1 year and 2 months of big trouble. But because of the false prophets, people didn't listen to us. So, there you are. That big mountain you see, that Rwenzori, that's what happened in June. Up. And you remember that's when we had to come in and say, please, lock down now. You remember? Lockdown. And because of the lockdown, by July, even the end of June, by 21st June, it was coming down. This 21st is 21st is the day when you monitor what? Okay. Huh? Okay. Or the first case was, so you used 21st. Okay. That they used the 21st day as a landmark, because that was the first day when we had the first case in March last year. So by 21st July, because of the serious lockdown we carried out, the graph came down. So the following the previous wave, I'll remove the graph now. Following the previous wave, the current national COVID-19 response strategy now focuses on the following interventions. Number one, vaccination. Because you remember, when the whole thing started, we were telling you that we are taking some measures. Actually, this disease is not really as dangerous as some of the other diseases, if people listen, because from the beginning, we had a very strong hope of getting a vaccine, and quickly, which was not the case with AIDS. It's now almost 40 years with AIDS, no vaccine. But here, people were saying, no, this one we shall get a vaccine. So during that time when we were saying, please, don't die now. Other safety measures are coming, including vaccine and maybe even cure. That's what we are telling you. Don't die, please. Begging people. Don't die. Just be patient. Stay at home. Solutions are coming. Because this was a virus which people thought could be fought more easily than some of the others. So now, as we speak, what we are telling you, if people had not disobeyed in May and April, we would have had only one wave, one wave. The one of the other rebels of November, and when people were campaigning, we say, don't campaign, don't hold rallies. They were saying, we are dictators, we are stopping people from gathering. So even that hike, the one of November, was not necessary. It could have been avoided. Because some of the countries like Australia and New Zealand, I keep watching the TV there. They have not had many cases, I think. Of course, they are isolated. They are very far from other countries. So, we could have avoided the first wave, we could have avoided the second wave. And avoid in order to wait for a solution. A solution which is a number of solutions. So that you can resume your normal life. And what are the solutions? Number one, vaccination. In record time, the world now has got vaccines. Not one, not two, a number of them. Government continues to carry out extensive mobilization of COVID-19 vaccines. But by these people who are writing my speech, you know, they write in their own language, which is fantastic. So when you hear mobilization, don't think that they are holding rallies or what. What they mean by mobilization is gathering, that we are continuing to gather. But for them, they call it mobilization. I'm reading the expert's speech, but I'm putting on my few words. So the government continues to carry out extensive efforts of acquiring and gathering vaccines. That's what they call mobilization. Vaccines, and by the end of December 2021, we expect about 12 million doses as shown below. Pfizer, 1.6 million. That one is already received. We have received it. 1.6 million. We received them on the 20th of September, a few days ago. Moderna, 647,000 received on the 6th of September 2021. These two are from the USA. We thank our friends in the US. From France, we are expecting, we have received AstraZeneca, 500,000, 22nd of September, which was like yesterday. Tonight. These are coming tonight. Belgium send us another AstraZeneca, 344,000. Again tonight. China, Sinovac, 700,000, 30th of September, in a few days. USA, Pfizer again, 3.4 something million, end of October. Johnson & Johnson, 1.2 million, end of October 2021. Sinopharm, China, 2 million, end of September. Another AstraZeneca batch from COVAX. COVAX is an international coalition. 1 million, mid-October 2021. Ireland is sending us 350,000, mid-October 2021. Belgium Johnson & Johnson, 100,000 end of November. So, by end of November, we shall have received almost 12 million vaccines. Now, these vaccines are two types. There is the one of Johnson & Johnson, the 1.2 million. That one is one dose. You get one dose and it's finished. So this one will cover 1.2 million people. The others, they need two. So if you have got 10 million of these, that means you will cover 5 million people. So these vaccines here will cover more than 6 million people. Johnson & Johnson will cover 1.2 million. The others, 10 million of them will cover 5. Now, as of now, we have 2.2 million doses of vaccines available at the national medical stores out of the 11 of the 12 million doses expected by the end of December. So the 2 million we have here are part of the 12 million. But they don't include the ones who have already vaccinated. Because we have already vaccinated how many? How many doses have we received? Already used now? We have already received 1.3 million, which means, because that one is mainly 2-2, so that means 600,000 people fully vaccinated already behind, including myself. So I'm not in the, and Mama, so I'm not in the queue for the 12 million. Unless they want to give me a booster, which they keep talking about. They are talking of boosters. In regard to the vaccination strategy, the following are being undertaken. Scaling up vaccination for all the eligible Ugandans aged 18 years and above, approximately 22 million. So, I will explain that later. So, according to the present strategy, we want to vaccinate everybody above 18 years old. And these ones are 22 million. But within the 22 million, we prioritize the vaccination of the 4.8 million priority population. Why are they priority? Not because they are better human beings. No, don't say that. Oh, why do you priority? Why? I'm also a human being. Not that they are better human beings. No, but they happen to belong to different categories which are more exposed. Who are these 4.8 million? Health workers. Although some of them have some issues, but really the medical service must be commended. The medical service of Uganda must be commended because they have really fought. Some of us fought our own wars. But these ones have these ones have fought their own war. this war for us. They have fought for us. Because they are always risking their lives. In many parts of the world, health workers have died. Especially in some of these big countries, they have died, a lot of them. Even here, I think, next time when I come, I will be able to give you figures about the health workers who have died, because they are on the front line of the war. So therefore, although we are aiming at vaccinating 22 million, we must start with some people who are near the fire, or who have got some special reasons. So health workers, teachers, you remember we want to open schools. We want to open schools. But in order to open schools, you must deal with the teachers and the staff who work in the schools, the adults. The reason we start with the teachers is because, according to the behavior of this disease, even when children get infected, they don't become very sick. Sometimes they don't get sick at all. Sometimes even if they get sick, they get cured. Even some of my staff here were infected. But some of them didn't even have symptoms. Very few had symptoms, but we never lost anybody here. We never lost anybody. Because of their carelessness, we were telling them, the ones in the press, those are veterans. They have been infected, they are veterans of infection, the press ones. Even some of the people, even the ones in our kitchen and household staff, they got infected. But none of them got very sick. Some did not even get symptoms. So the young people seem to have been able to cope with this disease better. That's why, therefore, we say that if you want to open schools, start with the teachers, the adults, and also the other people who are working in the school system, the bursars, those adults working in the schools. Then security personnel. Oh, those ones are in trouble because they are on the road stopping borders. That's how they get exposed. Operating in the field for UPDF. So those must be vaccinated, the security personnel. Elderly, or 50 years and above, those ones are the ones who are vulnerable. And when you hear people, even here, many of the people have died, these 3,000, many of them are these elderly, middle-aged, even not very elderly, middle-aged. We've lost some, I know somebody who was 49 who died. Then those below 50 years, but with comorbidities. They have got, he's below 50, but he has got diabetes. I don't know about these sickle cells. How is it? Is it very vulnerable? Sickle cells, blood pressure, HIV. Now those ones are 330,000. No. The ones of comorbidities are my people here don't give the numbers. But the 330,000 are students in post-secondary institutions aged 18 years and above. The comorbidities are 500,000. So these ones total 4.8 million. We are aiming at vaccinating 22 million. Why? Because they are above the age of 18. But within that, we are starting with the 4.8 million. Why? Some are health workers, they are on the front line. Others are teachers, they are on the front line because they are dealing with so many young people. The children will kill the teacher. They will kill their teachers. They will kill their teachers. And we don't want the children to kill their teachers. And we don't want the children to kill their parents. You see, the children, they get infected. Either they don't get sick, or even if they get sick, they survive. But they go home, kill the parents and the grandparents. Here in the school, they kill the teachers. So, what are you doing? So that's why we are saying we shall vaccinate the 22 million. But let's start with the 4.8 million. Who are the 4.8 million? The health workers, the teachers, the security personnel. These ones on the road all the time. The elderly people above 50 years. And the students in schools who are above 18. And these are the ones in the post-secondary, not the ones of the secondary. Post-secondary, there are 330,000. Therefore, I now direct with immediate effect that all other diseases, cows, you know cows, don't think they are cows, the other cows. These are CAOS, Chief Administrative Officers. DHOs, don't confuse them with DHL. They know there was also a system. These are district health officers. Must carry out intensive mobilization for all eligible priority groups to go for vaccination. They should in addition ensure that no vaccines are wasted or left to expire. Because now there's a problem that the vaccines may expire because they are sitting there in the districts, and the other disease, I don't know what he's doing, he's sitting there, driving around in the district headquarters, and then the cow is also cow there, and the DHO. So this is not acceptable. If any vaccine expires in your area, I will deal with you. I will dismiss you. If you are a DC, I will dismiss you. If you are DHO, I will dismiss you. If you are this other one, cow, even the cow. We want to open up. People are crying to open up. The method for opening up is there, but you don't use it. And you are in charge of that area. You will be dismissed. I don't know whether I will find out how many vaccines, how many doses are on the verge of expiry. Do you have the number? You can tell me before the end of the meeting. So, therefore, our strategy now, because the other time we were saying, you know what we were telling you, don't congregate. All that continues. Don't congregate, sanitize yourself, sanitize documents, put on masks. That one continues, even now. But in addition, we are now adding vaccination. So let the vaccinations be used so that these 4.8 million people are vaccinated, the vulnerable. Then secondly, surveillance. In order to prevent the third wave and the importation or emergence of new variants in the country, I directed the Minister of Health to enhance surveillance at the airport and all the 53 land ports of entry. These people are using the word ports, but don't think it is a Nyampuchiro. Don't think it's Omaro. By port they mean entry point. Because there is no Mwaro at Busia, there is no Mwaro at Maraba. So don't when you hear port, say, oh, port. Here they mean entry point, which could be airport, could be land border point. There are a few landing sites also, like Jinja. So enhanced surveillance at the airport and all the 53 land ports of entry. Government will establish testing facilities at the airport and all land border points of entry. In the interim, not more than 2 weeks, the private laboratories will continue to test the incoming travelers, because we are phasing down the private, because the private had become very expensive, $65 for testing. We are now going to test at $30 by the government people, but because of setting up and preparing, we have decided to allow the private to be there for another 2 weeks, so that they don't go away and leave a vacuum. Now, secondly, the UPDF and Civil Aviation Authority will support the Minister of Health to complete the modification necessary for installation of the testing facilities and to carry out the surveillance processes. The UPDF engineering brigade is going to build shelters for these government testing units at the airport, but maybe also at other places. 3, carry out regular and systematic genomic sequencing to detect new variants, locally emerging and imported. Genomic is to discover the clans of these viruses, because they keep changing. That's how you had the Indian variant, this other one, Delta, this one, which one? So that's what they call it, genomic, to Obunya, the genes of the internal structure of these viruses. So our people at the virus center are studying always work with the Ministry of Education and Sports, support head teachers to carry out surveillance and early reporting of suspected cases in the district and city task forces. Now, in the past, some teachers were hiding this disease. Something happens and he hides because he doesn't want the school to be closed. This is a very serious offense. If we discover this, you will be in trouble. I think I even saw some amendment of the laws to amend the laws to send people to jail for hiding pandemics or spreading them. I don't know how far that law has gone. We pass it in the cabinet, or I saw the document somewhere. Next week, yes. But for now, I would have to use even the existing law to deal with anybody who hides sick children in schools. Report. Where we are going now with more vaccination. The closing of schools, which have already opened, may no longer be necessary. Because if we vaccinate the teachers, we vaccinate the school workers, the adults, the sweepers, the secretaries, then we vaccinate the adults at home, the 50 years and above, the parents and grandparents, and we vaccinate the diabetes ones in the homes. Then there's no need to close the school. Because the danger is that the children, as I said at the beginning, first they were killing the teachers. And in some of these European countries, I saw teachers dying before the schools were closed. And then they go home and they kill the parents and the grandparents. But with the vaccination, that instability would no longer be there. So therefore, hiding is not necessary. Hiding is not necessary. You should report immediately. Then follow up the use of rapid antigen self-tests with World Health Organization, and once approved, inform the Ministry of Education and Sports to consider their use in schools. This rapid way, if it is approved, it can be used in schools. Now, number 3, the safe reopening of sectors under lockdown. For safe lifting of restrictions, the National Task Force usually considers a number of factors such as risk of transmission in that sector, vulnerability of individuals and overall economic impact, and overall economic impact. This is further guided by the following: scientific evidence-based approach for safe and sustainable reopening in a phased manner. Number 2, enforcement of SOPs by the sector in line with the COVID-19 statutory instrument. Number 3, increased awareness by the sector of the risks and adherence to SOPs. I'm aware of the limitations of the current Public Health Act. Cabinet will fast-track its amendment to facilitate the enforcement of SOPs and include, among others, the on-spot and court fines of those who fail to adhere to SOPs. So in the new proposed law, first, the punishments will be stronger, but also the method of administering the punishments will change. You can be fined on the spot. In this regard, the National Task Force has reviewed the sectors that were pending lifting of restrictions and I now direct as follows. A, places of worship. The places of worship can now open under the following conditions. Number one, limit the number of worshippers at any one time to not more than 200, provided the place of worship can ensure physical distancing of 2 meters on either side and adequate aeration, adequate air. Two, there must be strict adherence to all SOPs at all times, i.e. hand washing, use of alcohol-based sanitizer. Now, and please don't waste my time, because I heard that some people don't want to hear the word alcohol. That when you are religious, when you hear alcohol, I don't know what happens. I am a teetotaler. I don't drink alcohol. But alcohol for when we were in the schools at Ntare, there was something called methylated spirit. What was that methylated spirit? For sanitizing or for what? Methylated spirit. At Ntare, long ago. What was it for? For lighting or for cleaning or what? Huh? For lighting. Oh, so that is the spirit. And ethanol, we are using it in vehicles. Ethanol, we use ethanol in vehicles. So please stop. In Runyankore, we call it Ohave to get lost in things which are not. Alcohol can be used positively. Positive. After the alcohol is used, wine is used for communion. So here we are talking of alcohol-based sanitizers, because that alcohol kills virus, kills bacteria. It is a cleaner. So when we say SOPs, alcohol-based, please don't mix it up and say that it is religion and so on. Temperature monitoring and consistent wearing of face masks by all congregants, including the choir and the preachers. All of them must put on masks. The preacher and the choir. Here I'm not using the mask because I'm very far from all these people. And there are very few people around. That's why I'm not putting in the mask. No congregation for worship after curfew hours. No night worship. The 200 persons limit, physical distancing, and all other SOPs should be respected even during special occasions, e.g. weddings, funeral services, confirmation time for confirmation. Then partner with the government to communicate and mobilize the population for vaccination and other control measures. Weddings, burials, and other social events. The number of persons attending these events can now increase to 200 under strict observance of SOPs. casinos, gaming, betting shops, and gyms. The casinos, gaming, betting shops, and gyms can now operate during the day and close by 6 p.m. The various local governments, cities, and Kampala Capital City Authority, working with the National Gaming and Lottery Board, must inspect the various betting outlets for suitability and adherence to SOPs before opening. Concerts, disco halls, performing artists, and beaches. These tend to congregate large numbers and are difficult to control. With the level of vaccination still low, I direct that this remains closed until at least the 4.8 million priority population is vaccinated. And as you saw, we are targeting end of December to have vaccinated, to have used the 12 million vaccines, which as we saw, would have vaccinated 6 million people, without including the 600,000 that are already vaccinated or being vaccinated. So by the end of December, I think we should have covered about 7 million people. We who are already vaccinated, the 6 million who will be vaccinated with these 12 million vaccines. The Johnson 1.2 million, that one Keta is 111. Then the remaining 10, they cover 5 million, 2, plus the ones already vaccinated. So that once we vaccinate the 4.8 million, then the concerts can start. Bars are high-risk areas where individuals have no sobriety to observe the SOPs. Because the Wanyankole say, wabuzo muri so Ruiko. Ruiko is the stick which the Wanyankole used to mingle millet, the one with the flat end, and Ruiko. Now, if you ask a herdsman, the one who was looking after cows in the bush, where is the Ruiko? He was not in the house. He doesn't know where the Ruiko is. So you cannot go to a bar and you expect soberness. That I went to a bar and I found people were sober. They were social distancing and they were putting on masks. The bar is opposite of sobriety. Because even walking is a problem. The Wanyankole call it Okwarza. You find somebody talking alone. So the bars, because of that problem, they will be considered for reopening when the 4.8 million priority population is vaccinated. The same. End of December, when we have vaccinated the 6 or so million people, then we can then they can go, even if they are staggering in the and maybe we should vaccinate those barmaids and all those should be part of these priorities. Cinema and Uganda, this should remain closed as the local cinema halls are areas of immense crowding and mostly have poor aeration and are designed to have artificial ventilation systems. That's why here I don't have any air conditioning. I don't allow any air conditioning. Because in Europe, it was found that air conditioning is the one which was circulating the virus. Curfew. Restriction of movement of persons at the night time is key to the enforcement of other preventive health measures. Curfew remains at 7 p.m. up to 5:30 a.m. Border borders should always stop movement by 6 p.m. Weekly markets, Komera, Obtare, these are open door settings, and current transmission rates are low in some areas. These can be opened with strict adherence to SOPs and the curfew hours except for current hotspot districts: Soroti, Kampala, Karungu, Kabare, Kumi, Tororo, Guru, Noya, and Yumbe. So in other words, the weekly markets can open in other areas, and they observe the social distancing, the masks, in all the other areas except in Soroti, Kampala, Kalungu, Kabare, Kumi, Tororo, Guru, Noya, and Yumbe. The RDCs, the RPCs, DPCs, DSOs, GSOs should enforce adherence to SOPs. The Minister for Health should follow up the hotspot districts and review their situation for safe reopening of the weekly markets after 2 weeks. Reopening of schools. Infections in children below 18 years are often mild and they recover quickly. However, many of the 15 million learners are day scholars who, once infected, go back home and infect their parents and grandparents that may subsequently die. This was observed during the second wave. To avoid a similar scenario, the National Task Force on several occasions considered conditions for safe reopening of schools, which included vaccination of teachers, vaccination of non-teaching staff, vaccinating the 330,000 students aged 18 years and above, plus all the other priority population. In other words, the 4.8 million or 7 million to be vaccinated, so that once that one is done, then we can open the schools. I saw some people, I cannot believe why people get it. I don't know whether it is. I saw some people arguing the schools. Yeah, but the main problem, no, I even heard somebody saying, why do you keep children from going to school, and yet for them they don't get sick? Even if they are infected, they are not a culprit. They are not a culprit category. They don't die. But you are forgetting that the majority of our learners, as I said in the statement here, are day scholars. If it was body, and we vaccinate teachers and the other adult workers in the school, we could open and they stay in the boarding school, knowing that the children, even if they get sick, they will somehow survive. But the problem is that the majority of the learners are day students. They study, go home. They are going to wipe out all their parents and their grandparents. So we are going to end up with the situation we had in the 1980s of children-headed homesteads. When AIDS finished all the parents, this time at least AIDS had one good thing. It was killing only the sexually active. It would kill the parents, but the grandparents would survive. So you would find a homestead because the grandparents were not sexually active. They were retired. So you would find a home with the children and old people, old women. This time, there will be no old person. It will only be children in the home. So why do you take this risk? Why would anybody suggest that we take this risk? What are you looking for really? Are you serious? These adults are the constituency of Mafabi. You know, we have got our member of parliament. Mafabi is the chairperson of our league. The 165 and above. When we last checked, there were 3 million. But if you include the ones of 50 and above, then the number is much bigger. I don't know how many there are from 50, because the one of the Mafabi's constituency, there are 3 million, 65 and above. They are the ones who vote for Mafabi, and the other, our lady from the elders, the elderly, they're in parliament, 5 of them. They were voted for by the 65 and above. But if you add the 50 and above, it's a big number. It may come to 5 million or something like that. So the argument against opening of schools now is, now yes, we are vaccinating the teachers, we are vaccinating the school workers, adults, but the parents at home are not yet vaccinated, and the grandparents. Are we going to kill all those people just because we cannot wait for 2 months or 3 months with the solution which is there now, solution of vaccine? Why not vaccinate the 4.8 million, which includes all the people above 50 and the ones below 50 but who have got underlying sicknesses? So therefore, to date, out of the targeted 550,000 teachers, 269,000 have already received the first dose of vaccination, while 96,000 have received the second dose. This is the total of 280,000 not yet vaccinated at all. There's some the teaching staff, by 30th of July, only 161,000 had been vaccinated. But now, 269,000 have been vaccinated, which is 49%. Some local governments have done very well. For example, the data from 81 local governments, education officers, on 17th of September, indicated vaccinations of teaching staff in 51 local governments was above 60%. The highest performing local governments include Kariro, 100%. Kariro, they have vaccinated all their people. The teachers, Bunyangabu, 100%. Apache, 98%. Kotido, 98%. Uganda, 98%. Pakwach, 93%. Namsindwa, 92%. Richiga, 92%. Kanu, 92%. Kabare, 91%. Apache, municipality, 90.5%. Masaka, 89%. Butebo, 84%, 84.6. Ntungamo 84.7. Chibale 88.4. Busia 88.4. Kazo 83 and Iganga 82. So some of the districts have been serious, and this is on the way, one of the ways to work for the reopening of the schools safely. So as of now, the 4.8 million priority population to date have been vaccinated as follows. The teachers are 550,000. The ones who have already got 2 doses are 96,000. So we need to vaccinate all the 550,000 with the 2 doses. The ones of 50 years and above, they say they are 3.3 million. I'm surprised because the ones of Mafavi are 3 million. You better check these figures. Be careful with them. Because Mafavi's group is 3 million. So if you include the ones of 50, it should be more than that. The comorbidities are 500,000. The ones who have got other sicknesses. The health workers, 150,000. Security personnel, 250,000. So the more work needs to be done. But what is for sure is that by the end of December, we shall have gone very far with the two doses or 1 single dose of Johnson & Johnson. I now direct as follows. Post-secondary institutions of learning to open with effect post-secondary. Post-secondary means universities, means technical schools, means teachers' colleges, post-secondary institutions of learning to open with effect from 1st November 2021 on condition that all teachers and non-teaching staff are vaccinated. The 330,000 students aged 18 years and above in post-secondary institutions should be vaccinated as soon as possible. So these ones, you will have both the teachers and the staff and the students all vaccinated. The rest of the learning institutions will open in January 2022 because by that time about 5 million, 6 million Ugandans would have been vaccinated, especially the 4.8 million who are the first phase group. I call upon all teachers and support staff to get vaccinated as soon as possible to enable safe reopening of schools. Regarding patient care and the challenges observed in the second wave, which were high patient numbers, inadequate oxygen supply, insufficient bed capacity, high cost of care, and holding of dead bodies by the private health facilities, I direct the Minister of Health as follows. Fast track the installation of the pressure swing adoption oxygen plants at national one center and regional referral hospitals, 15 of them, and the cryogenic plants at 3 designated regions. The cryogenic is where they have Frozen oxygen, liquid oxygen, cryogenic. That's what they mean by cryogenic. It's like tears, I think, crying. So this plan is there. Dr. Jen will explain to you some other time how far they have, because we agreed on this. The money is available. They will brief you how far they have gone, so that we don't have this problem of oxygen again, in case it is needed. Prepare selected district hospitals in hard-to-reach areas and islands as treatment centers to cater for patients that have challenges accessing regional referral hospitals. Strengthen home-based care through refresher training of VHTs, village health teams, and equip them with the HHBC tools, home-based care tool kits. Work with the Ministry of Education and Sports to ensure that schools designate their sick bays with basic infection, prevention, and control materials for isolation of mildly sick children once schools open. Strengthening decentralized response. The implementation of the preventive health measures is majorly carried out by the local governments. I therefore direct the Minister of Local Government to ensure that continuous functionality of the district and sub-county task forces is ensured. The Uganda health workers, as I said at the beginning, have done a commendable job since the start of the pandemic. I would like to again commend them for the spirit of hard work and patriotism. Therefore, we are really moving, and we shall get there. I normally wonder how people mix up issues. When this pandemic descended on us, our strategy was to ensure that as few Ugandans as possible die. We didn't want many Ugandans to die. This is the main point. People talk about jobs, talk about economy, talk about business, talk about missing school time, but the overriding issue is dying. When you don't die, you can always catch up. Even if you miss a year in education or 2 years, we have mature entrance in education. Even normal times, somebody did not get time to go through the educational system when he was young or she was young, and when she's mature, he will study. How will the dead person study? Either now or in future. I cannot understand the logic really. In the United States, they lost 600,000 people. I don't know, I have not checked recently how far they have gone. But when I was still following, they had reached 600,000 people dead. Of course, the United States has got a bigger population than Uganda. But that population is about 8 times bigger than ours. So if you divide the 600,000 who died in the US by 8, you come with a figure of about 15,000. Somebody calculated it for me. Bring my calculator. Now, I didn't want to lose that number of 15,000 or 20,000 or. 600,000 divided by 8, 75,000. If we were to reach the level of loss, bear in mind that our population is 42 million or what? Because the US now are 320 million, 320 million. Divided by 42 million. So yeah, just like I said, they are 8 times bigger. So if we were to have the same level of loss, we would have lost 75,000 people. Now, I didn't want that. We didn't want that. We could not lose 75,000 people. These 3,000 whom we have lost, we are still crying. People who died, Chivejinya, Paul Etiang, Samba Mgirwa, Mans Tumboine, our bishop in Kabare, in Kanungu, in Rukunjiri, our bishop in Masaka, Kagwa, Kasemu Banda, Hajat Watongara here, Hajat Watongara, so many people. 3,000 of them. So this is what we wanted to stop so many deaths. We knew there were we were going to lose business, to lose jobs, to lose, but we had to. Dead people don't do business. They don't study. They don't, and yet when you're alive, you can always catch up. I think some of the people have never lost things. We people of this area, we know all these problems. These people, this area which we call the Great Lakes. Tsetse flies came from Tanzania in 1918, and they killed many of the cows in western Uganda. And people for almost from 1918, the first time we launched an anti-tsetse fly campaign was in 1958. So for almost 40 years, people in that area were desperate for a solution to the tsetse flies. But people survived. They went. That's how you go to Banyankwere, going to Lango, to actually to work for cows. The cows were lost. But as long as the people, in fact, Uganda have a proverb. They say, "Extrata muima, techimara konti." That if a cattle keeper is not dead, even if the cows die, he will get other cows. This is the issue. It is not jobs. It is not business. It's not losing school time. It is life. Life. Dead people don't talk. So really, I get amazed when I hear people talking the way they are talking. Fortunately, they talk when I'm not there, because if I was there, I would really shame them. How can you talk like that? I have been here like a prisoner for 1.5 years now. I don't move. I am here. You have not heard me going here, going there, no? Because when I move with a big group of people, soldiers, they will go and bring sickness here and cause more problems. So I stay here. Am I a fool? Is it because I can't move? No. The war now is to survive, to minimize. I want to end by talking a little bit about crime. Crime had worried people. And the criminals also miscalculate. I don't know why they miscalculate. Somehow they think that they can defeat NRM they tried rebellion, they were defeated. Rebellion, COIN, ADF, UPA, they tried, they failed. Now, somehow they think that you crime, you kill people. They started by killing Muslim sheikhs, then they killed Kajezi, then they killed Chigundu. Now recently they targeted Katumba, they killed his daughter, and now they have been killing people in Masaka. They think they are very clever. But they don't know, they seem not to know that the NRM will defeat them. Like we defeated the rebellion, we shall defeat crime. Why? Number one, we have got very strong security forces, armed forces. Very strong. It's a question of mobilization and working them up. Secondly, we have got the support of the people. People don't want crime. That's why they lynch. They lynch criminals. If the police is not there to save them, the one will lynch them. We've got the support of the people. Thirdly, I think we have now got 28 million telephones, which means each home, or almost each home has one mobile phone. Now, that's a very big security infrastructure. Because like in the case of Masaka, the main problem was there was no awareness as to where you ring in case you attack. People were just ringing everywhere. There was a time when in Sojo, about 2-3 years ago, when there was killings on the New Year's Day, they attacked the home of a school owner. The wife was there, but the husband was in Mbende. There was a disco nearby. It was New Year's Day. There was a disco, so even if you made alarm, nobody would hear you, because there was a lot of noise by the Bidongo. So now the woman had to ring her husband in Mbende. Then the husband rang the RPC Masaka. Then RPC Masaka had to ring now, I think this was like Komansimbi, DPC Komansimbi. And by that time, somehow the local people had found out the criminals had run away. So, initially the problem was lack of sensitization. Otherwise, this small phone is a very, very important security gadget. When you are attacking, and when they used it in Bukurura, that's how our people killed the leader of that gang of massacre, somebody called Chidawarime. Because the girl after we had mobilized them, rang now the nearest security person. Not to go to Mbende. No. Where do you ring? You ring to the sub-county, to the police at the sub-county. And that's what she did. She rang. Immediately they came. The thieves broke in the house as they were still trying to do things. The police had arrived. And that's how Chidawarime was killed. So this telephone network is a very big security tool. If it is more used, there is no way the security can survive. Then we have got now other security infrastructure like the cameras, the what. You have seen now how we have arrested all these criminals. The ones in Masaka, the suspects, we call them suspects. Because in the law you don't call them criminals. It's suspects. Don't put a case on me that I have discussed. I have prejudiced the case. No, these are suspects. But they have been arrested. The ones in the massacre killings, many of them have been arrested. The ones who killed suspected to have killed the chairman of Ntoroko, they've been arrested. All of them, and even the ones who tried to kill Katumba, they have finally been arrested. The ones who were killing the other people. Some were arrested, some were killed. Others are still unknown, but they are somewhere. We know who they are, and we shall get them. So therefore, I want to assure Ugandans that please do not panic about crime. This crime we are going to defeat. Of course, there was some corruption in the police, but even the corrupt will be exposed. Exposed how? By the events. Something happened. What did you do? That's how we audit you. We audit you. Something this happened. What did you do? You are the one in charge. Out. We are not short of people to replace those who cannot do their work. So therefore, you have seen what has happened. Many of the criminals, suspects have been arrested. Some have been killed. The ones who are not yet arrested are known. So I want to assure Ugandans that nobody can disrupt us by crime. Now finally, when I was here, the Prime Minister whispered to me that there are so many motorcycles at the police stations are confiscated or arrested because of violating curfew and all that. I think as people of religion, sometimes it's good to forgive. I think these young people have already been punished because they have not been earning. When the pikipikis have been impounded, they have not been using them to make income. I therefore directed that now you risk these pikipikis, but if you are a second offender, then we shall go for you. But for now, I direct that you release the pikipikis. Let's have an amnesty for these border people. With these few words, I thank you and I wish you good luck. The vaccines which are likely to expire at the end of September is 67,000. 67,000 vaccines will expire if they are not used by end of September. And there are 67,000, 12,000 in Kampala, 8,000 are in Arua. And in Kampala, that's where they need them. I thank you and I wish you good luck.
It is intellectually engaging.
So for me, as a member of parliament, if we decide and pass a policy and say we're going to buy you cars and give it all of you, we no longer want to give you money, I'm okay with it.
To say that you're going to fight corruption is very good. It makes people feel good. Like when you say people are going to go to heaven, people feel good even if they die and they don't get anywhere.
Deeply incisive.
So the conversation really should go beyond this particular view to say how should we adjust our budget in light of the lockdowns.
Authentically symbolic and insightful.
It is easier to be an analyst, but statecraft is another skill. We should also respect those who are running a state, even when we are giving them feedback.
Behind the headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odong Thor.
I will repeat it, 0709 602 592. That is the number that you should send us a message through so that we can interact with you and read your messages.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
It is intellectually engaging.
So for me, as a member of parliament, if we decide and pass a policy and say we're going to buy you cars and give it all of you, we no longer want to give you money, I'm okay with it.
To say that you're going to fight corruption is very good. It makes people feel good. Like when you say people are going to go to heaven, people feel good even if they die and they don't get anywhere.
Deeply incisive.
So the conversation really should go beyond this particular view to say how should we adjust our budget in light of the lockdowns.
Authentically symbolic and insightful.
It is easier to be an analyst, but statecraft is another skill. We should also respect those who are running a state, even when we are giving them feedback.
Behind the headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odong Thor.
I will repeat it, 0709 602 592. That is the number that you should send us a message through so that we can interact with you and read your messages.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.